Hey guys, welcome to the Silver Report Uncut. Now this is something that has been growing. It's been growing and growing. I've been meaning to talk about it, but I haven't yet. And the more and more I wait, the more and more relevant it gets. It's all of these powerful people that are coming out and they're warning. But let's begin here. If you haven't, subscribe to the channel. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you can get this daily news updates coming out. And also, make sure to comment on the videos. That helps the videos do better. But we called this stock market crash we just went through previously to the day. If you've been following us for a while, you know that. You know that on the morning of that crash, at 7 a.m., we released a video, and I intentionally released it at 7 a.m. because I knew it was going to be going down. And I was saying it begins today, and sure enough, the market began to implode. Now, there's a few reasons for this that I was able to do that, and I believe it is very easy to see that it's about to happen again. It's because we don't live in a free market. We don't live in a free world. People are not free in their mind. They're subject to the TV, essentially. But there's these powerful people, very powerful people. It's not just the Federal Reserve. It's not just the people at Davos, but they are, a part of them. These powerful people that have formed a cabal, if you say, and they work together. Now, these people, they create news. They create ideas. They create crises all the time. You can have a crisis not exist, and we just seen this very recently, very clear and precise, that they can make these people say whatever they want. And they all will speak with one voice. They will all read the script, and I talk about this constantly. But this is a very simple way. They say you can't predict the movement of the stock market. I believe you can. I mean, major ones, because you could tell, because they begin to take the market down themselves. This is something, the way I was able to predict it last time, it began with Cramer, about the South Korea, the way his video was. He was recording a little segment about it. They were saying, it spread past South Korea. We all know what we're talking about, this sickness. It spread past South Korea. It's going to be moving on, and it's broken the containment. It's not going to be going to the rest of the world. He was so fake in that video. I wish I could find it. I'll share it, but he was so fake. The day before, he was saying the market will be invincible. Nothing will happen. Everyone was saying we're not going to see any recession. We're not going to see any economic damage. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Buy stocks, buy the dip. And then suddenly, like a light switch, they all changed. They all changed to be talking about this crash that's coming, this immediate crash, and talking about how bad that this spread is getting. They flipped the switch, and the very next day, it tanked. That's how influential these people are. All they need is to get enough people worried that they get a stampede going, and everyone tries to rush out at the same time. And then it just builds on itself. It's very simple for them to do that, and the Federal Reserve can do it even more powerfully than somebody like Cramer. But it wasn't just Cramer. The head of JP Morgan was coming out. Morgan Stanley, these banks, everybody's coming out all at once. And the same storyline, when you search it, when you have these type of stories that are really about public manipulation, you'll see like hundreds and hundreds of headlines that are almost identical. And it's because there's like an echo chamber. It enters the echo chamber and it spreads out and it moves so far, so fast. And you talk about everything else being fake. They're the fake ones. They're the ones creating reality. Just because you can get 100 different news segments to talk about the same thing that you just mentioned does not mean it's the truth. But in our world, they believe that it does. They believe that's what the truth is whatever they determine. And there's a crap load of people who also believe the same. They're just regular people. So we don't have free markets. Let me give you an example how unfree our markets are before we get into the main portion of this story. Do you know who wrote the Inflation Reduction Act? I'll give you a hint. It's not about reducing inflation at all. It has nothing to do with reducing inflation. It was written by Bill G. I'm not going to say his full name, but it was written by Bill. And also, he was romancing a lot of these representatives through various deals. He was giving them money. He was going out with them to different places. He was really trying to get close to them and communicate with them. A lot of the people that were going to say, no, we're not going to just give over all these trillions of dollars and destroy the economy just simply because you want to name a bill the Inflation Reduction Act. You're taking advantage of the fact that everyone's afraid of inflation. You're saying a bill is the Inflation Reduction Act. And it has nothing to do with that. You're just taking money. But he was able to change their minds. And he was able to do that just by giving them money and buying them things for the state. You say, whoa, I can't believe that would happen. I would never believe that could happen in America. It's called lobbying. It's legal. That's how everything happens in America. That's how everything happens, is lobbying. Rich people give them money and they vote however they want. But in this instance, he created the bill. It's called the Inflation Reduction Act. And what it does is it takes federal money or government money, which is your money. It's your money and it's printer money, which is also your money taken out in your name and borrowed in your name. They're going to take our money and give it to Bill in the form of paying his companies. That's why they've set up all of these green companies long before, all these corporations. They got the food industry, the energy, all these things. These are the new invention for nuclear power. So all this money is going to be going directly to his companies. He's making it mandatory to give money to his companies and to crush his competition. It has nothing to do with inflation. Nothing at all. The only thing it has to do with inflation is to tell you that's what it's about. So you say, Oh, thank God they're doing something. Thank God. This is what's causing the inflation. Think about how big this is. Our entire energy supply is being converted into their pocket. They're taking all of the energy, global oil consumption, and putting it into their own pocket. They're making the world use an entirely different energy source altogether, and they're forcing it. They're making fuel prices cost so much, they're forcing it. You don't have a choice. You will eat the bugs, is what they're saying. You will own nothing, and you will be happy. That's how these people roll. You don't have a choice. And they tell you what they're going to do, and then they just do it. They don't care if the entire world knows they're liars. They do not care at all. They don't even consider it. Because remember, they make the news. They make the truth. They create it at will. So a lot of these people who sit around the table, a lot of these wealthy people, they've begun doing the same thing once again. And the line this time is that we are heading for an extremely severe economic crisis. A global recession is another one that we've been using recently. The Bank of England was coming out and saying the world is going into a global recession. And they were lying about this before that. This is something that has changed, where everyone in lockstep has changed their narrative. Look at JP Morgan. We're heading for something much, much worse than a recession. The head of the World Bank, the head of the IMF, they just came out all in a row, all on just about the same day, within a 3-day time period. And they're saying now that this global recession is going to be so severe, it's coming here, it's going to be very bad, and markets are about to collapse. They're saying a stock market crash is coming. This is not something that we're saying a week ago, for example. Do you understand what we're talking about here? They're causing a panic. They're causing a panic in investors, and investors are responding. So now, within the last day, you'll see a ton of different articles come out, and it's talking about how the stock prices are falling because recession fears tank oil markets. Recession fears hit the stock markets. Recession fears take down the commodities. Recession fears, recession fears, recession fears. And people, I'm so shocked about this. I'm so amazed how many people will they need to be led. I'm not being rude. They literally, if the talking heads on TV say the economy is going to be doing well, they say the economy is going to be doing well. They just literally do not think. They do not think at all, and they're beyond that. And it's scary. It's scary how people like Kramer, who's so sleazy, he's worse than a used car salesman. It's like a used car salesman that you catch with a whole bag of drugs or something. But people still buy from him. They let him direct their thoughts. I mean, you think Buffett is some, phenom from Omaha? Let me explain to you something. Have you just done some research about some of the people Warren Buffett has, sat across the table with? Warren Buffett has tons and tons of pictures of himself with the lords of the earth, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, all these different people. He was being promoted. He's not being talked about because he's just some genius. He's being promoted as a genius. He's being promoted as a phenom, as this miracle from Omaha. And he's not just making good. He bought most of Kraft right before it collapsed. He's not some genius in investing. He's constantly promoted as being a genius in investing, so people give him a crap load of money. And so because he has so much money in these accounts, which is their assets under management, everyone says, well, look how much they've grown. Look how much their portfolio's grown. He blew up in a time when there really wasn't much internet. There was the TV, and he's constantly being paraded on the TV as this genius investor that everyone should invest in. It's brilliant. It's brilliant, only it's evil. It's unfair, and it's not capitalism. Capitalism in America only exists in the majority of the minds of the people. And I do say a majority. A majority of Americans believe this is a capitalist economy. Even the enemies of capitalism say that America is a capitalist economy, and that's why it's so unfair, unjust. So we have this disproportionate rise in wealth by the elite that's not being shared by the working class. We don't have capitalism in America. We don't have a free market. A central bank cannot exist in a free market. A central bank is the antithesis of freedom. They control all aspects of the market. They control employment, inflation. They control everything. The rate at which you borrow money, they control everything. They print the dollars. They determine how many we're going to have and how many we're not. They decide everything. They make decisions about what they're going to be doing for this emergency relief packages. They take the money. They buy things with it themselves that they're invested in. This is not a free economy. The elite are getting rich because they are stealing it all, using all these mechanical tactics, from the stock market to the quantitative easing to the money printing. They're running a scam on everybody. But they do control the flow of information. And because all of these people in unison have turned, and the reason I brought up Buffett is because of Munger. Munger was saying that we're heading for something very, very severe in the U.S. It's going to be a very severe recession. And this is a man who never says there's going to be a recession. Even if we were heading into an economic crisis, the man would say, oh, it's great. Invest in stocks. Everything's wonderful. But not now. If all these powerful people that all sit at the table are coming out and saying recession fears are going to kill the market, we're heading for a major stock market event, you better believe they're causing one. Their words they're using are not because it's something they're reporting that is happening. It's something they are creating with their words. They're creating the panic. They're creating the fears about recession by saying there's going to be a severe recession. Don't you understand? Most people won't. You know why? They want to believe that they live in a world full of these honest, upright individuals where the talented succeed, the most devoted, the morally sound, that this is who thrives. That is not the world we live in. Not at all. Go ahead, be morally sound and see how far behind you fall. It's an ugly world for the righteous man. It's because they control everything. They control everything and they don't care what we think. The reason the rich keep getting richer is because they buy the government and can go in and make things like the Inflation Reduction Act, where they're going to shut down all of these small businesses. They're going to be flooding money into their personal friends and donors. He's not paying these representatives to pass that bill to help their states or to help you or to help reduce inflation. He's paying those people because he has written the bill. And he called it the Inflation Reduction Act because everyone's afraid of inflation. That's what's happening here. It's amazing. I just want to touch on this also. Somebody made a hysterical comment, and they've been doing this for years. A lot of people have been doing this for years. We do this program, we're trying to expose this, trying to track this, focus on what's going on in the economy. They said, we've been hearing this for years. I was thinking, you're standing in the middle of a monsoon. The rain is peppering your face. You're soaked right now. And you're saying, this man keeps saying it's going to rain. Why should we listen to him? The man says a rainstorm is coming. You're standing in the middle of it. You're soaked. You can't see it. Oh, he's been saying this for years. Yes, you're welcome. Thank God that you've been having this warning for years, unlike most of these other people. It's here, friend. We're in it. We're in the midst of a horrific economic collapse already. Most people understand this because they are living in the inflation. They're being decimated. There's this article that came out the other day. It said that they did a poll, and it said 80% of Americans say that they're suffering. 80% of Americans say they're suffering. The small businesses, they have horrible confidence right now when you look at the surveys. They're not happy. And the businesses, the big corporations and the small corporations, they're laying off a ton of people right now. Tons and tons of people are losing their jobs, and now they're beginning to explain it's about to get ugly. They can't hide it anymore because hundreds of thousands of people from these companies is getting fired. Don't you think that matters? Or is it all just QE? It's all just funny money these days? It matters. It's real suffering. Real suffering. And you know what? Any relief that they're going to try to give, think about it. How can you really provide real and genuine relief to a problem you caused? And then what was your motivation to cause it? Was it to provide this relief? Or are you not providing relief at all? Are you providing shackles? Are you shackling the American people so they're dependent on you for their food, for their income? Are you shutting down the non-essential businesses? Are you destroying them economically so that they can no longer operate, so that the only businesses that are left in existence are your friends, the ones that are supported by the government, the ones that are supported by these bills, the ones that write the law? We're getting too close now, aren't we? I don't know why it's difficult for any of you to believe what I'm saying. It seems like common sense. It's pretty clear at this point. All the things that were in darkness, that we were warning about for years, that you thought were ridiculous, they're out in the open now. They are here. You can see them. You can taste them. They're smacking you in the face. And somehow they convince you, oh, well, that's just false news. You're not really being smacked. You're not really in a monsoon. Why would they want you to believe that? That's what you should really consider. Why would they control us? They control us, and right now they're steering us off the cliff into a major stock market event by driving fear. Better believe it, and it's coming. And don't overlook, silver dropped a whole lot. It was down pretty significant. These are opportunities. These are big opportunities. You already saw what it could do in the last go-around. It's happening again, and it's going to be much worse, much more severe. And now they're talking about making all of these regulations that could essentially destroy the mining sector. There's not going to be enough capital for these companies to operate. It's going to get bad, and the prices are going to go up. Right now they're shutting down aluminum production in a lot of these nations because the fuel prices are too high. They're not manufacturing aluminum because it costs too much to manufacture it due to the fuel prices. What's going to happen to the price of aluminum? It's not just there. It's not going to stop there. There's many commodities, many different things that can't be manufactured with the fuel prices this high. And they're not going to go down. They're all warning, too, that the fuel crisis is about to get greatly intensified, that they're going to increase the energy bills by 80% by October, right before winter. Eurozone. Don't you think that's going to have a negative impact? China's destroying their economy. China's economy is destroyed. Their manufacturing sector is destroyed so much that Huawei, you know this brand, Huawei? In Mexico, they're everywhere. They make cell phones, computers, et cetera, et cetera. It seems like they're like a Chinese, I guess they're all Chinese companies, but like a Samsung and LG, something like that. But they're not really allowed to operate as much in the U.S., but they're big. They're big time. They're everywhere down here. But the CEO just came out and says, this is about survival, that we're desperate to find a way to survive this recession. This is the CEO of a billion-dollar company. They're desperate, and the only thing they can hope for is just to survive this global economic recession, is what the man was saying. He's not the only one. This is being spoken of everywhere. They're jumping ship. They're pulling the cords on the parachutes, folks. You better wake up and pay attention. And I'm sorry, I tried to do that for you, but many times people, they shoot the messenger. They get upset. They can't handle it. You can't handle the truth. It's cognitive dissonance. It's something that you want to believe in. You have a tremendous motivation to believe that all these people are just stupid. All these officials and representatives are just dumb or naive, or, they would do that for money, or they're sleeky, or they're dirty. No, these are truly evil people. They're intentionally causing these problems in your life to obtain objectives. I mean, they've been trying to drive this energy transition for years. They've been having meetings about it. And now they're forcing an energy transition. And people will wonder, what a strange coincidence. No. They will not allow chance or coincidence. If they need people to go in a building and act a fool, they will dress up themselves with a video camera. They will get what they want. And they don't even care if it's not believable. They won't even care if it's stupid. I can't even believe how they've been working us so easily. And that's scary. That's the scariest part about this world today, is that the people out there, they're not really thinking. They've closed their eyes. They're being closed for them in their minds to a degree that they can no longer accept truth, because it hurts. It hurts to realize you're in the hands of tremendously evil people that intend your destruction, your bankruptcy, your loss of everything you own, to destroy your children, your family, to destroy your home, to take everything good from inside of you and everything good in your life. And they have tremendous power. They own the money printers. They're giving each other more money, and they've become so rich that if we continue to use the dollar, we're all doomed already. That's the world we live in. And most people don't want to believe that. It doesn't matter if you want to believe it or not. What matters is, what is the truth? Is there evidence? Can I look into this? Can I research this? And what will I find? I guarantee you, research on pre-search. Research on pre-search. Don't use big G. You're not going to get the results you're looking for. You're going to get the results they want you to see, and they're a part of the team. Same thing on the Twitterganda. God, the information that some people will believe is so bad because you live in this echo chamber of lies and filth. Break free. In 1984, there was a conflict there too that didn't exist. The entire society was working for the effort. A lot of them thought they were making different means of defense. A lot of them thought that they were protecting the people by controlling the news. They were deleting headlines, deleting history. And all this was for the effort. They needed to keep working very hard. You need to keep working to make your quota. Well, there's not enough food to go around because of the effort being shipped away. And this was an entire conflict that didn't exist. And everything in society was built to support this conflict that didn't exist, and it needed to exist in the minds of the people. And you tell me how essentially 4 people is all it would take to convince the world that there's a global conflict that is causing a huge fuel crisis. That's all you've ever seen. 4 people. That's the only evidence. That's the only evidence they need. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm just saying that's how powerful this is. It's like a wag the dog situation. What if it's not happening? What if there's no conflict at all? What if these 4 people, meaning both of the people from the conflict, got an agreement that they're going to use this to subjugate their people, so to continue this whole plan, which is to impoverish the entire world and to convert the entire world's energy over to their own new companies and inventions. That's what's happening. There's a very strong motivation to create some sort of conflict and to keep it going in the minds of the people, because now it's your reasonable sacrifice why all of the oil companies need to fail, all of you people need to starve, all of these companies need to be converted over to green energy immediately. They have a tremendous motivation, and it's money, not saving the world. If there was a global crisis, they wouldn't tell you. The only crisis they tell you about are the ones that they have created in their war game scenarios, that they've planned for. The only crises that we ever encounter are the ones from their planning books, their meetings, their exercises. They're exercising to get stronger to implement this BS on us. Is it true? Could it be true? Do you want it not to be true? I thank you guys for stopping by and joining us. As always, stay free.